Imagine this. You're walking to the subway. You drop your phone. You stop for 2 seconds. In this world, you catch the train. But what if, in another world, you don't? What if that 2-second delay leads to an entirely different life? Maybe you meet someone. Maybe you don't. Maybe your future changes entirely. Could that alternate version of you be living right now in another universe? That's the haunting, beautiful, and utterly mind-bending question that the multiverse raises. In this video, we're not just dipping our toes into the concept. We're diving into the cosmic deep end. We'll explore the theories, the evidence, the counterarguments, and the implications on your life, your identity, and your soul. This is more than science. It's personal. Because the multiverse isn't just about distant galaxies. It's about you. Every decision, every chance encounter, every missed opportunity, and every dream fulfilled or not. So buckle in. Because by the end of this journey, you may never look at your life or the universe the same way again. Chapter 1. What is the multiverse? Let's ground ourselves. The multiverse isn't just a plot twist in a superhero movie. It's a real idea, with real roots in physics, cosmology, and even ancient spirituality. But it's also a chameleon of a concept. Depending on who you ask, the multiverse can mean many things. There's the Level 1 multiverse, where our observable universe is just one part of a much larger cosmos. Same laws of physics, but infinitely far apart. Then there's the Level 2 multiverse, where the constants of nature themselves vary. Picture universes where gravity is weaker, or electrons don't exist. The Level 3 multiverse is perhaps the most famous. The many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. In this version, every quantum decision branches reality into separate timelines. And finally, there's the Level 4 multiverse, the wildest of them all, suggesting that every mathematically possible universe exists. Somewhere. It sounds ridiculous until you realize how often science turns science fiction into reality. Chapter 2. The science that suggests it might be real. Okay, let's talk about the science. Not the flashy headlines, but the gritty, intriguing stuff that actual physicists talk about in academic journals and lecture halls. First, quantum mechanics. This is the science of the tiny atoms, particles, probabilities. The many worlds interpretation, proposed by Hugh Everett in 1957, suggests that every time a quantum system has multiple outcomes, each outcome actually happens, but in a separate universe. In other words, reality is constantly forking, splitting, and multiplying. Then there's cosmic inflation, a theory proposed by Alan Guth. It explains how the early universe expanded faster than light. But some versions of this theory suggest that this inflation never completely stops. Instead, new universes keep budding off from this cosmic froth forever. String theory adds another layer. It suggests there are 10 or 11 dimensions, most of which are hidden from us. These extra dimensions may contain entire universes with their own physics, particles, and timelines. Our universe could just be one brain floating in a higher dimensional space. So we have evidence, not proof, but indications. No smoking gun. But enough to say, this isn't just stoner talk or sci-fi. It's science, with equations, with Nobel laureates behind it. Chapter 3. The Philosophical and Personal Appeal. Let's set aside the lab coats for a moment. Why are we so obsessed with the idea of a multiverse? Because it hits us where it hurts, and where we hope, regret, redemption, choice, destiny. Think of your biggest regret. Now imagine there's a version of you out there who didn't make that mistake. Or maybe there's a version of you who made a worse one, or who never had to choose at all. The multiverse offers a strange kind of comfort. It says, even if you messed up here, you might have succeeded somewhere else. It also challenges the idea of identity. Are you still you if you chose a different college? Loved someone else? Never left your hometown? The multiverse shows us how fragile and how flexible our sense of self really is. And beyond identity, it forces us to confront our own significance. If there are infinite yous, does that make this you less important or more? Maybe, just maybe, your awareness of this moment is what gives it meaning. Chapter 4. Why it might all be nonsense. Let's be fair and skeptical. The multiverse might be one of the most exciting ideas in science, but it could also be one of the most overhyped. First, there's no empirical evidence, not even a hint. Every test we run gives us data from our own universe. The others, if they exist, are sealed off from detection. That's a problem. Second, the multiverse may violate Occam's razor. Why invent infinite universes to explain one observation? Are we solving a mystery or making it more complicated? Third, just because something is mathematically possible doesn't mean it's physically real. Math is a language. Reality doesn't have to speak it fluently. Even some physicists call the multiverse science fiction in a lab coat. As Sabine Hassenfelder says, the multiverse is not science. It's a philosophy class dressed up in equations. Still, even critics admit, pushing the boundaries often requires stepping into uncomfortable territory. Chapter 5. Pop Culture and the Multiverse Boom. From Doctor Strange to everything, everywhere, all at once, the multiverse is having a moment. But why now? Because it reflects the chaos of modern life. We're constantly switching identities, online, offline, through filters, avatars, and hashtags. We live in an era of fractured selves, and the multiverse feels familiar. Pop culture multiverses let us imagine infinite paths without the commitment. What if your grandma was a kung fu master? What if you were a villain in one world and a hero in another? These stories don't prove anything scientifically, but they do make us ask the right questions. What does it mean to be the real you? How do you define reality? And could the most absurd ideas hold a kernel of truth? Art often reaches the future before science does. Maybe these stories are planting seeds, seeds that might someday grow into discovery. Chapter 6. So, what if it is real? Let's imagine for a moment that it's all true. The multiverse exists. You are one of infinite versions. What then? It means that every moment, every choice, every tiny event creates a ripple, an echo through the fabric of the cosmos. You are not a single thread, but a braid of potential. It means that destiny is no longer fixed. That you are a player in an infinite game where you never truly lose and never completely win. It also offers something deeply emotional. If you've lost someone you love, maybe somewhere they're still alive, laughing, breathing, living a different life. It's not scientific, but it is powerful, and maybe that's the point. The multiverse might not be true in a testable way, but in a human way, it speaks truth to our fears, our hopes, and our need to believe that we matter in the grand, chaotic scheme of things. So, is the multiverse real? Maybe. But whether or not it exists, it changes how we see this life. This you. This moment. Because even if there are other yous out there, only you are living this version. Only you get to shape this world. And that means your choices still matter. Your regrets still teach. Your joys still shine. You are, perhaps, one of infinite variations. But you are not meaningless. You are miraculous. And your story, however small, echoes through the very fabric of time. So live it well. We are all stories in the end. Make yours one worth telling, across every universe.